You have options with keto. You don't just have to be limited to lettuce wrap burgers and Cobb salads when you go out to eat. Asian cuisine becomes a complete viable option for you. So what I've done is I've gone to basic Asian food establishments and I've gotten some really good tasting food that I would normally have liked when I wasn't on keto. And we've made some simple modifications to make it keto friendly. So this is gonna help you go out to eat and get some Asian food, Chinese food, Japanese food, Korean food, Filipino food, you name it, as long as you understand the things that you should watch for and the things that you should lean towards whenever possible. So a good number of these items we got simply at PF Chang's. I mean, that's about as mainstream, simple Asian food as you can get, and we still are making it work for keto. So I'm gonna give you the common pitfalls as well, so you know what to look for. So let's go ahead and let's dive in and enjoy some delicious food. Hey, make sure you hit that red subscribe button and then hit that little bell icon so you can turn on notifications. We are literally pumping out videos just about every single day these days, and good quality videos to boot. So good scientific literature backed videos that bring you everything you need to know about all kinds of different healthy lifestyles. All right, let's go on down the line. So in typical Thomas DeLauer fashion, we're gonna break down the scientific aspect and why these foods are gonna be better than others. First one I wanna talk about is a pretty simple one. You've probably heard of broccoli beef before. Quite honestly, a perfect keto dish. The sauce that is used with broccoli beef is usually going to be a fish sauce. Now, occasionally you'll find them that have soy sauce in them, so I do want you to be careful. A lot of these dishes, you want to see if they have soy in them, but believe it or not, soy sauce isn't necessarily used for cooking all the time in Asian cuisine. It's usually used after the fact. So a lot of these sauces are gonna be okay. The only reason I say go kind of easy on the soy sauce is just because you don't want to have the gluten in it. The gluten can cause some issues, make you feel a little bit yucky, but also it has some inflammatory properties when it comes down to the gut. So we just want to be careful there. Now, some of the things that I like most about broccoli beef. Okay, you've got the cruciferous vegetables. That is critical on a ketogenic diet. Okay, so the broccoli being high in something that is called DIM, diindolylmethane, sounds extremely complex, but it's actually really simple. What it does is it helps you metabolize excess estrogens. It's called 1,7-hydroxyestradiol. So it's the toxic estrogen that builds up in our body, helps the liver metabolize it, so it can help you get rid of a little bit of that water retention. Then the beef, obviously, we're going for a leaner cut of beef here. You're actually not having fatty cuts of beef. It's actually a pretty low calorie dish. Okay, you don't have to have it over rice. And although the sauce tastes a little bit sweet, you can always get rid of some of the sauce or water it down a little bit. Now, one of the things that I would generally recommend when it comes down to broccoli beef, and the reason I mention it first, is because it's actually really easy to make at home. You don't have to go out to eat to enjoy Asian food. You can make this really simply at home. So when you go to the store and you see those little packets of broccoli beef seasoning and things like that, just be on the lookout for MSG. You don't want to have a lot of that. It's not going to hurt you, but it's not exactly the best thing to be putting in your body long term, day after day. Okay, so usually you're okay with that. You'll find there might be 1 or 2 grams of carbs in it. That way you can use the organic broccoli, but better yet, you can use grass-fed, grass-finished meat, which I highly recommend using. Okay, so if you're going with low-quality beef, you're gonna have a skewed omega-6 to omega-3 profile, and therefore that's gonna mean you're not getting the right anti-inflammatory effects, but you're also not getting the vitamin A that you need on a ketogenic diet. So really important, if you're gonna make it at home, utilize grass-fed, grass-finished meat. And if you are interested, I did put a link down below for ButcherBox, so that way you can get grass-fed, grass-finished meat delivered to your doorstep. Don't even have to go to the grocery store. Lots of people will tell you straightforward that it tastes better than what they get at the grocery store, but it also ends up being cheaper. So delivered right to your doorstep, just special link down below. You'll save a couple bucks by using that link too. So after this video, make sure you check them out. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's move on to the next one. Hot and sour soup. Okay, people think that hot and sour soup is not going to be good on keto because it's thick. What we have to remember is the thickening agent in this case is cornstarch. And although I'm not the biggest fan of cornstarch, we do have to take it into consideration that just a couple teaspoons of cornstarch is all it really takes to thicken something up. So we're looking at a couple grams of carbs worth of cornstarch. Okay? A typical entire dish is going to have maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, which is really going to come out to about 30 grams of carbs if you're looking at a big actual dish. When you're looking at soup, they're not trying to thicken it up all the way. And you'll find some restaurants have thinner hot and sour soups than others. This hot and sour soup is directly from PF Chang's as well, so super, super simple. One of the things I do like about it is it kind of encourages you in a natural way to get mushrooms in the mix. Now, why do I like mushrooms? The reason that mushrooms are awesome is because they have something known as MCF7. Really wild stuff. Okay, what this does is it helps, again, metabolize estrogen in the body. So it limits that aromatase activity. That aromatase activity is really, really powerful when it comes down to the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. So in men specifically, if you have a high aromatase activity, it means all that good positive testosterone can get converted into estrogen. and mushrooms are going to help you out with limiting that. Now, additionally, we've got a bunch of ginger in this stuff, right? So ginger is going to be powerful from the digestive side of things. And I'm not trying to, put lipstick on a pig here. I'm not trying to just say, hey, this is a really basic dish, and I'm trying to fancy it up with all the scientific jargon. I'm just trying to give you the facts. There's a reason that I would consume hot and sour soup when my tummy's a little bit upset. The ginger has a big role in digestive comfort, but also if I'm ever sick, I like hot and sour soup because it feels good on the throat. It clears my sinuses out because of the ginger. So it's just a perfect thing. Sometimes when you're sick and you're on keto, you're like, I wish I could just have some comfort food. Hot and sour soup is a perfect thing for that. So again, one of my favorite dishes when it comes down to keto Asian cuisines. Now let's take a ride over to P.F. Chang's again. So here we've got those northern style ribs. These are really cool. And the nice thing is, you see how dry they are in terms of sauce? They don't have a bunch of sauce on them. Usually when you get ribs, that's the problem. A bunch of sweet, sugary, high fructose corn syrup sauce. You can order these with light sauce. Pork is a really good meat on keto. The reason I'm saying this is because for some reason, people, like when it comes to pork, they just alienate it or they keep it out of sight, out of mind. Pork is super high in what is called choline, which is a precursor to acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter that is so powerful for muscular function, but also for brain function. People take expensive nootropics to try to get the same acetylcholine effect that you can get from eating a little bit of pork. Okay. Also very high in selenium, which means super good for the thyroid, super good for the proper conversion into active thyroid in the liver. So we just have a good keto-friendly dish that, again, once again, has some really good benefits when it comes down to the metabolism. Important note though, make sure you order it with less sauce or get the sauce on the side. Otherwise, you can sit at a P.F. Chang's with your family, have an order of hot and sour soup, and then get the ribs as your main dish, and you're gonna walk out of there totally satiated and feeling like you did not miss out on a single thing. All right, now we got Moo Shu. Moo Shu pork, Moo Shu chicken, veggie Moo Shu, a lot of different ways that you can do this. There's some really important things you have to remember, and one cardinal rule that you cannot forget with Moo Shu anything. Do not get it with the wrapper. The wrapper is made of flour, the wrapper is where the carbs are. This stuff tastes delicious without the wrapper. And if you really want to make your own, you can get these little cauliflower thins, you can get anything that you can use as a wrapper and get the same thing across. The other thing you have to be careful of is people like to dip Moo Shu pork or Moo Shu anything in hoisin sauce or sweet and sour sauce or plum sauce. Those sauces, and I'll get to those later in the video, are things that you need to avoid. Okay, they are going to disrupt the ketogenic process in the body. So we don't want to be doing that. So straight up Moo Shu is solid, okay? It's using fish sauce, use a tiny bit of oyster sauce, and a couple other spices obviously to give it the flavor, but it's also super high in cabbage. Cabbage, another cruciferous vegetable, okay, going to help us out not only with the metabolism, but help us out when it comes down to the estrogen modulation, plus a good prebiotic fiber to boot, so you end up getting some digestive benefit. Now, going to be a little bit higher in sodium, so you might want to take it a little bit easy. Factor in any of these foods are going to have a lot of sodium in them. So you may want to consider picking up some potassium bicarbonate to cancel out some of the excess sodium that's coming in. This is about reality. It's not about eating the perfect meal, okay? It's about being able to enjoy your life. So give me a little bit of a break there. So Moo Shu pork, Moo Shu chicken, whatever, just avoid the wrapper. Now it's time for some pho. Check that bad boy out. Okay, so simple Vietnamese pho. One of the most basic, simple, clean Asian dishes you could have. People, for some reason, think that it's bad, but you can get rid of the rice noodles. You don't have to have it with the noodles. So what do? Whenever I go to a pho restaurant, I get it with chicken, and then I get it with veggies, and I ask for no noodles and double veggies. It's the most basic that you could possibly get, and it's so clean and moderately low sodium. The nice thing is, Vietnamese pho is notorious for using good quality bone broth. That's one of the biggest pushes for it. Okay, so nice levels of proline, glycine, arginine in that bone broth. You're not just getting regular chicken stock or beef stock, you're getting good, legitimate bone broth. It's gonna get you what you need for gut restorative effects, but also it just tastes good and it's more satiating. So super simple, super lean. There's probably only 1 or 2 grams of fat in that, and it's coming from the chicken, and it's all dependent on what kind of meat you use. One of my favorite things to do is also use shrimp. Okay, so you can get pho and get it with chicken and shrimp. I usually stay away from the beef with pho. That's just a personal preference because I like it better with shrimp or chicken. The nice thing with shrimp is you're gonna have high levels of zinc, high levels of other minerals that you're not going to get in poultry. So highly recommend that. You can get that just about anywhere. Again, you've got the bok choy, so high cruciferous vegetable. You've got the bean sprouts, which have a high level of phenolic acid. Okay, phenolic acid are a natural COX inhibitor, so cyclooxygenase enzymes. So what that means is it helps eliminate some of the inflammation out of your body. If you take aspirin, you're trying to limit COX anyway. So bean sprouts that you're gonna usually put in there are gonna help limit that. So anti-inflammatory properties is essentially what I'm getting at. All right, so this next one is egg Foo Yun. Now, I need you to come here and take a look at this really quick. So there's something we need to know. So egg Foo Yun is a keto-friendly dish, but the issue is that it all depends where you order it. Okay, so egg Foo Yun without the wrapper or just whatever you're gonna do with it is fine. It's eggs, sometimes got some chicken, sometimes got some peas that you might need to pick out of there. Peas are pretty high in carbs, so it's just like, just get those guys out of there. But anyway, if you look at this one carefully, I can tell there's flour in that. Okay, now egg Foo Yun isn't always in a patty form like this. Okay, sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. And sometimes it's breaded and sometimes it's not. We ordered these because we're doing this video, and it's a perfect example how we didn't do our due diligence on their egg Foo Yun. So we are finding that with this egg Foo Yun, it was breaded and then fried, which means we have a lot more carbs in this one than we thought. So normally egg Foo Yun's fine, but in this particular case, I can't use it if it's in a patty form. So you just have to ask them specifically, is your egg Foo Yun breaded and fried or is it straight up, okay? And they should be able to tell you, and if it isn't, you're good to go. Okay, this next one is one of my personal favorites because it's a total hack, all right? And I love the scientific hacks here. This is gonna be black bean sauce chicken, black bean sauce beef, whatever. So here we have two components of this dish. We have the basic chicken, mushrooms, a little bit of carrots, which you might wanna 86 out of there because they're little sweet bamboo shoots. Okay, black bean sauce. I got it on the side because you could use this black bean sauce and use it for anything. So if you wanted to go to, say, P.F. Chang's, or you wanted to go to some restaurant and just order a side of black bean sauce, you could take that and then add it to whatever dish you want. Black bean sauce, people think because it's black bean that it's going to have high carbs in it. It doesn't have a whole lot of beans in it, okay? It has a small amount, and the cool thing is the beans are 30% resistant starch in this case. So this sauce is mainly a starch that doesn't affect your blood sugar, which means it's sort of a nutritional hack. You can get around having a big blood sugar spike because of the resistant starches. Complicated explanation of what a resistant starch is, but basically molecular structure changes when something's been heated and cooled and then reheated. And in this particular case with beans, you get that with the legumes. So we have a lot of benefits there. Now the other thing is black beans have something known as molybdenum. Molybdenum is a cofactor for a bunch of different enzymatic processes in the body as far as energy conversion, digestion, but most of all just nerve function and just feeling healthy. Okay, so we get a big benefit there. So again, put this on anything, but also the whole point here is look at what happens if you order something without sauce. So you can go to P.F. Chang's and you can order one of these things without sauce, and look how clean that is. I mean, that's just chicken, mushrooms. I mean, the point is you can sit down with your family and you can enjoy food. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about that I don't even have in front of me, but I'll show you some footage of actually cooking it, is a Filipino dish. Okay, so this Filipino dish is interesting. It's like a porridge, and it's called chicken Arroz Caldo. Okay, so what's cool about this is you can do it a lot of different ways. So in most cases it's made with rice, but in this case you can make it with cauliflower rice and then mix it in. You just want to make sure that you're really draining the cauliflower rice so that there's not a lot of extra water. So basically you've got some ginger, you've got some onions, you've got some garlic, usually using fish sauce. You can use chicken. You can, I've seen some people do it with shrimp, things like that. But anyway, it's a really good Filipino dish. And I just put it here, not only because my lead videographer is a Filipino guy that really digs this stuff and had to give him a huge shout out here, but also because we can't leave that out. There's some amazing dishes when it comes down to Filipino culture in the first place, and a lot of people have been asking in the comment section. So anyhow, we laid it all out here, but let's talk really quick about what to avoid. Just gonna give you a quick list, and then we can wrap this up and you can get on your way to picking up some good Asian cuisine. All right, so the things to avoid: rice. Okay, that's an obvious one. Okay, then we have noodles of any kind. Avoid the chow mein noodles, typically avoid the rice noodles. Wontons, okay? Those are gonna have the starches in them. The fried wontons as well, avoid those. They're just a total calorie bomb and a carb bomb. Okay, be careful with the soy sauce just because of the gluten. Okay, be careful of anything breaded. You gotta be careful there. Egg rolls are a total no-go. Okay, then we get to the sauces. Sweet and sour sauce. Oyster sauce, avoid. Plum sauce, avoid. And a big one that's out there is hoisin. Okay, hoisin is very, very sweet, and it's tricky because it doesn't really taste super, super sweet, but it's a lot. Okay, we're talking 8 or 9 carbs in 1 to 2 tablespoons. Think about how much that adds up. And the stuff tastes good and it's addictive as all heck. Obviously, we could expand this more, and you can take just about any Asian cuisine, change the sauce structure, change the starches that are in it, and be good to go. But we forget that aside from the rice, most Asian cuisines actually lend itself quite well to the ketogenic diet. So anyhow, keep it locked in here on my channel. If you have ideas for other kinds of just culinary dishes that you want me to investigate, or any kind of cultural dishes you want me to investigate, put them down in the comment section below. We'll see you soon.